Welcome back. How did your group approach the gifted identification of Justin? A powerful scene in the video is when Justin stands and looks at the hopscotch pattern he drew in chalk. He seems pleased that the lines are now blurred. Perhaps it is symbolic of him feeling like he never fits in, and he is trying to erase the lines of conformity. There is also another powerful message here, that the pathways that lead to identification will sometimes be blurry. There isn't a black and white answer to the identification process. Professional judgment must consider what is in the best interest of the student and meets the intent of the law. So what are some possible pathways for Justin to meet the rules of portability? Well, a district could select one of these three options. Rules state a district may identify a student using a cognitive score. Because a comprehensive body of evidence was examined, this is an acceptable choice. A district may include Justin in a talent pool and provide advanced and differentiated programming in his identified strength and interest areas of math and science. Last, a district could also explore one of the more talent areas to include creativity or dance. However, for identification to occur in these areas, more data would need to be collected. So what are some possible next steps for Justin? In the area of academic support, we should move forward and provide differentiated and advanced instruction in the area of mathematics. And in the area of science, be able to give him hands-on problem-based inquiry opportunities. And after all, should the school really think about its policy in not allowing him to be in the science fair because he can't be in science club? Is there another way that the school could work around this policy? Certainly, we recognize that he needs immediate affective support. Perhaps he could meet individually with a counselor. And shouldn't we try to reach out and contact the parent again to try to be our partner in support of Justin? And perhaps we could include him in some of our affective groups on perhaps divorce, friendship, or study skills. Certainly, we know he has a very strong talent area, and might it be possible for us to locate a professional dancer to observe Justin and complete a performance rubric for possible identification? If at this time he doesn't meet gifted criteria for dance, perhaps we could provide information to his parents of outside dance resources. One important idea to note, the process of identification does not mean one person sits down with a set of test results and circles those students with a 95th percentile or above and makes a decision these students should be identified. Instead, you take these students and collect additional data to build their learning profile. This might include an interview, an observation, or a checklist. In the case of Justin, by spending a few minutes conducting a student interview and asking the PE teacher to observe him doing some dance moves, told us more about Justin than just a test score could ever provide. These two tasks required very little time from the teachers. Also, reaching out to the parent again for input is also important. As educators, we must strive to examine all the different ways to engage parents in the identification process. So as a review of identification in talent areas, we do have resources available on the Colorado Department of Education Gifted website to support identification in the talent areas. Performance evaluations and observations provide important data for that process, and typically data are collected over time for identification in a talent area. We have now come full circle. We have completed scenarios for Lisa, Yulia, Dustin, and Justin, and now it's time for you to review your administrative unit or district's gifted identification assessment practices and the multiple pathways you provide for gifted determination. Remember, the state provides you with guidelines for identification procedures, but There's also the flexibility for a district to make identification decisions to meet the unique needs of the community it serves. The 4 scenarios provided an example of how there are guidelines for criteria for identification, but there is still a level of AU choice in the determinations that are made for each unique learner. Now, these 2 combined will lead you to examining your plan for gifted identification to ensure it meets the guidelines of ECEA rules and is individualized for the students you serve. Please take time to discuss the following questions with your group. After hearing the information presented in this entire webinar, what questions or concerns do you still have about gifted identification? What are your next steps to implement what you have learned? What is your timeline for implementation? And what support or resources do you need? Please pause the webinar and conduct these discussion questions with your group.